This is a meeting of the Beaufort County Board of Education Finance Committee, February 12th, 2026 at 4 p.m. It's at the District Educational Services Center, Conference Room E, and it'll also be remote hybrid conferencing meeting. It'll be also live streamed on the school board's YouTube channel. To speak in public comments, please sign up using the public comment form. You can find it in the public comment form on your website, on our website. And the committee members present are myself, Victor J. Victor Nay, Alfonso Smalls is not shown up yet, but we have a quorum with the two of us. So I need the first item is to approve the agenda. Pardon me? I'm sorry.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance after approval of agenda.
On his switched in community, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I so moved. I'm just looking at
Okay. Second. Any discussion?
Negative.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody.
And we have a statement of media notification.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Public comments?
Sure.
No.
Move that we approve the finance committee meeting minutes from October 9th.
Second that. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Motion carries. So we're moving right along on the board monthly budget report. Ms. Crosby.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is our standard financial report for the Board of Ed. This is the budget as of January 31st, 2026, which is 7 months into the school year. There's not much to report. We have there's two standard areas in the non-salary area that stand out this time of year because the expenses are paid early on in the year. Auditing services is one particular area which we've expended 96% of the budget. The audit is complete, and we will only have a small amount of spring field work done later on in approximately May to round out the year. So we're in a good spot there. Also, on the second page, about near the bottom, there is tech purchases and licenses, which are expended at 96%. That is the county channel and Diligent, our board document system, management system. So those expenditures were paid out. County channel expenditures were for the prior year. So we have 2,000 remaining in that budget as well. And then organizational membership and dues for SCASA, the South Carolina Association of School Administrators, where you receive support for board member development, training, and we have policy support as well. That's 78% spent. So overall, the budget is 50.8% as of the end of January, which is right as expected at this point in the year. So
Okay.
With that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Move on. Transparency report with focused areas.
It looks as if I have a little formatting problems on some of the pages later on, so I will make sure that that is corrected in the next meeting that we have. So we have transformed the transparency report recently, a few meetings ago, to provide more of highlights and graphical visual images of the finances and the purchases in particular. So the details are still available and on the website, and there are links to those details in this executive summary. So this just provides And also, not only is it providing data through, this one is through November 2025. Next month, we're going to have two reports for you, the December and the January report. It was a little time prohibitive this meeting, but we will definitely catch those up due to not having a January meeting. These are comparative reports to the prior year, so you're going to see 24 and 25 years. We also list the contracts that are over $100,000 for you, which are listed on page 1. Page 2 has the expenditures by fund. It has the general fund is always one of the largest levels of expenditure for the month. That is $6.8 million of expenditures for November. Capital is $9.5 million. So of course, those would be your largest areas with the referendum projects in the capital area. Food service, since we have our food service team here today, they round out third with $1.6 million of expenditures and on the school food service program. And those are the top 3 areas of expenditures by month for the month of November. The top 25 on page 3 is the top 25 expenditures by category. Again, building and finishes, that is construction. So especially with Hilton Head High School, if I had to guess which category or which location that would be, I can guarantee that probably more than half of that will be Hilton Head High School and the May River Elementary projects. Food service, the purchasing, that is the actual contractual expenditures to the food service contractor as per contract. And then transits are movements in between funds, indirect cost, like from grants would be moving to the general fund to provide reimbursement for overhead costs of grant administration and that sort of thing, architect fees. And so a lot of construction there, and you're going to see payments to ACE, our vocational school, and many of our services like cleaning, maintenance, and so on. So those are the majority of the top largest expenditures in the district. And I'm sure, oh yes, energy is one of those around the top 5 or 6 program expenditures as well. We've highlighted a few of those in the last couple of months, so and talked a little bit more in depth about those. Page 4 are the top expenditures by program. And when we talk about program, that means whether it may be kindergarten program and an instructional program, it may be a support program. Many of these are, some of these are instruction. Of course, facilities acquisition, that is construction. Then we have the food service program, operations and maintenance. These are next payments to the charter school are approximately $800,000 a month. So those would be included there. Vocational, that's payments to ACE, security, technology, software licenses, those types of things, instructional programs, and student activities. So it's good to see student activities on that list because we want them, we're looking for them to spend those funds down. So, so those are sort of 10 key categories that are aligned all with district priorities. Page 5, and this is expenditures that exceed $100,000. So in lieu of providing a very lengthy, very minute detail of 100,000, every project or every purchase over $100,000, we've provided this graphic that gives you a visual depiction of the 2 years combined. The orange lines are November of 25 expenditures. The blue are November 24. So you can see some variances between the years, and many of those have to do with the timing of the payment. Sometimes something is made on December 31st. The next year it may be paid on January 5th. So that oftentimes occurs, and just due to the timing of work that's done and the timing of when the accounts payable check runs are made. So that would be the case. Particularly, I see nutrition That would be strictly due to the timing because we basically make every payment on a monthly basis regularly. It just happens to see when depend on when the accounts payable run falls and each year. Sometimes we have 5 pay runs in one month, we have 4 in another. So all of those things just vary a little each year. So on page 7, there's a summary of major variances. I'm not going to go through all those in detail, but it depicts some of the major changes and projects in particular, like in construction, when the timing of certain projects were being done. Really, Thompson Turner and MB Con are our 2 largest contractors. So, and they have either Hilton Head High or May River Elementary working on those projects. And so it's just the timing of where those projects are in the process. Technology, PC Solutions are supporting hardware infrastructure. They deployed some wireless access points across several campuses this year to update those so the internet is working properly and reaches all the areas of the buildings. Nutrition, we had reported at 1.42 million with prior year payments for those. So November and December of 24 reported in the month of December. And that's why this year only one of those months reported in as expenditures. So again, the timing. So let's see. And then again, like I mentioned, at the bottom of this report is a link to click here, and that will take you directly to every line item of every purchase that's on our website for the month of November. December is already there as well, and then we'll summarize that at our next meeting that we have for the Finance Committee. So the next page is a focused review. So in our previous meetings, we discussed in lieu of talking about individual line items to really take an area and focus on that to highlight it at this meeting. And so in alignment with that commitment, we're providing this review today. And the highlighted category for the month of November is professional development. So the district's professional development expenditures have a clear seasonal and monthly pattern when analyzed across both years, 24 and 25. And so the data below shows a month-by-month breakdown and highlights the cyclical nature of expenditures and variations between 2 years. The breakdown demonstrates the PD funds, the spending trends to rise during late winter and early summer months, particularly in March, May, and June of both years, reflecting the opportunity for staff to engage in professional development growth activities during and around academic breaks. The data also shows lower expenditures during months that align with the school's year's busiest instructional and testing periods, especially in April and September. The spending pattern continues to mirror the academic calendar, as previously observed, with the district's commitment to provide professional learning opportunities concentrated during times least disruptive to classroom instruction. So this graphic slide shows the heavy months. Again, orange is 24, blue is 2025, and it shows the high months of May and June when school is getting out, may have the last few days of the year or the first few days of the next school year, and opportunities for that professional development to occur.
Questions?
That concludes that section.
So I'm the first guy or first time on the committee. So right now I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and try to figure out what's going on. Pardon all the freshman questions that are going to come in shortly.
This
I have
is
a
fine.
question about this. So this is a culmination of 2 years?
Yes. Yes.
So, in other words, January is 2024 and 2025, correct?
Yes, sir.
That is not as useful to me is if there was two lines for January with the orange line followed by January with the blue line,
Mhm.
because I can't tell when you add up the totals. I'd have to say, well, okay, January was somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 cumulative.
Mhm.
That is not as key to me as having what January was compared. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
So just add,
Separate those.
yeah,
and we will
separate
do that.
those rather than call. Makes a little more
I
sense to me. I puzzled over this for a while. First thought.
Yes.
Okay,
Miss Yinger is under the weather, or she would be able to help explain that a little more today tonight, but she developed this
yeah,
format,
no,
so.
I think,
And which is amazing, but it's definitely easy to split those out.
yeah, it does help, and it's going to be very interesting to see some of the other fields that we have
Mhm.
of what the cyclic nature of expenditures are.
Mhm.
Um,
Everything has a
yes,
cycle,
right,
mostly different
Right.
cycles.
okay,
Okay,
Ms. Hay has also joined you, but she has not raised her hand.
all right. I'm sorry, who? You said?
Elizabeth Hay.
Elizabeth, I don't see her on here. Oh, yeah, now I see her. I see her. Good. Miss Hay, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move to the next item then. Which is the second quarter financials.
all right. Second quarter financial report as of December 31st, 2025. Okay, so local, we got a little bit of a scare on this one, but I think we have an explanation from the treasurer's office that we are comfortable with. So local property tax collections are very important for us this time of year for multiple reasons. One, we're looking at it in terms of how we're going to end up, how we're going to fare in the current year, but also we're using that data to project for next year. So we are on top of every email that comes directly from the county regarding tax revenue, and we're immediately posting them into an analysis where we are applying it toward those two things. Property taxes totaled $92 million as of December 31st, or 38% of annual projections. Last year was 58% at this time. There's a reason for that. According to the treasurer's office, the decline is due to mortgage escrow payments being deposited in January this year rather than December of the prior year. So that means that in January, we should see a significantly higher collection rate than in the prior year. So we are anxiously waiting to see what those January revenues will be. We had a conference call with the treasurer's office about 2 weeks ago, and I requested the information to come 2 weeks or a week earlier than typically is allowed. Typically, we receive the treasurer's this tax data around the 22nd, 3rd of the month, and it is required by state law for the treasurer to provide school districts with tax revenue data by the 15th of the month. So that is what we have requested and said we must have going forward, which will provide us information within a few days from now. So we are anxiously waiting that, and it is not atypical to have those fluctuations. There have been reasons over the years where December was lower. For example, tax bills may have gone out later, or there may have been a hurricane and there was a delay and they allowed extra time for taxpayers to pay in January or March or whatever that month may be. But this year it was due to the mortgage escrows all coming in the month, the majority of them coming in the month of January.
Okay, this one, I have about had a mini heart attack.
You're not the only one.
I saw those numbers,
Yes.
and I do not understand mortgage escrow payment.
So you have I have a mortgage.
Mhm.
I have escrowed my property taxes into that.
Right.
As I pay 1/12 of that property tax during the year to the mortgage company, and they are responsible for making a payment to the Beaufort County Treasurer's Office at the end of the year.
Okay.
It's the timing of that
Timing
payment
of that
coming
payment.
from your lender
Lender.
to the bank, to the treasurer's office, the timing of that. And if all of them being at the same time, if all of Bank of America, all of Mr. Cooper or Rocket Mortgage or Truist Bank are all paying and sending those files in January, those are massive amounts of payments made at one time.
So this is a property owner's payment to escrow vice to.
Via a
Right.
bank or a mortgage
Right.
company.
So paying that, okay, first
Yes,
at this particular time, rather than sometime later on or in pieces.
they pay them the banks pay them once a year. And so they just send one large file and one large payment to the county treasurer's office. So instead of sending them multiple times as people,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, because
as you're
everybody,
paying,
everybody has different payment, when they decide to pay.
correct. So each lender has a file that they submit to the treasurer's office.
But this is the first time in 8 years when I have seen this be a reason for it. That's why I was gobsmacked.
Well, 2 years ago, it was significant. It was,
It
I don't
was because of
think it may.
late bills going out.
So last
That's
year
what's
was-
missing from this. Last year was the anomaly where they actually came in early. If that helps the conversation.
Well, I will feel much better when the next.
As soon as that tax file comes in, I'll email the committee and let you all know that the tax revenues are here and what levels I can
Right.
certainly communicate that to settle any nerves that we may have and yours as well. So I can do that. I'm hoping that today's the 12th. So I'm hoping that we'll have something by Monday,
I think I'm gonna.
Tuesday.
I think I'm gonna.
Oh, Monday's a holiday.
Contact, Maria, having lunch with her, because I need to understand this a little more. Maria Wallace is a treasurer. And, she's really, really good and really accessible, to, because I just don't feel comfortable with this payment, reducing revenue. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. You've explained it in a way, but it's still not resonating with me, frankly. So I'll talk to Maria and see what she can give it to me in Army terms.
Why do we have less money this year? As of December.
Okay.
It's simple, but it should be an easy answer, but
Okay,
it will also affect debt service. So on this same
Yes.
report, it's going
Yes.
to affect the debt service fund as well, because they're on the same tax bill.
Yeah.
So paying property taxes, they're gonna have both, operations and debt payments. as
but
well.
our debt payments are scheduled well in advance. We know when our debt payments and principal payment, our principal.
Yes, and the debt payments are, we do have fall payments
payment.
of just principal,
Right.
interest only. The big payments we pay back are in March. So instead of like a mortgage, when you're repaying debt on bonds, you pay twice a year. We pay, because tax revenues come in December and January, so you don't have a lot of funds in the fall. But once tax revenues come in, you can pay those big payments in March. And we have a lot of payments due March 1st. Bree handles a lot of that, and Cindy coordinate that. And we make sure that those payments are made timely and that the tax revenues are there to support them. So
Okay.
So because of the deferred payment, is there any immediate impact to the reduction of funds for what seems to be maybe a month?
cash flows wise is,
Yeah.
so $90 million came in the month of December. So that supports, that gets us back in the black, as you could say. So we are a little nervous when it gets down to November on cash flow. So we're watching it very, very closely. That's the reason for having a healthy fund balance, because that is your reserves to support that cash flow during that lowest part of time. And it's also dangerous because it's hurricane season in those last few months. So I have no doubts that I feel better now that 92 million is in the bank. And those funds are being collected in January. We just don't have the record of it yet. So I'm comfortable with the cash flows at this point.
Okay.
Go ahead.
State revenues are down slightly from the prior year. So we had some slight decreases in enrollment that could have some to do with it. There are always fluctuations in the formulas of state revenues. I wouldn't be alarmed till we get a little further through the year. We'll see what January looks like.
Yeah.
Second quarter spending in the general fund is 167 million. 44% of budget. Prior year spending was 42, so we're up a little, but we did have a good savings last year. So we tightened up the budget just a bit. And so we don't expect to have as much of a increase at the end of year at this point in the fund balance, but we have a ways to go as well. Special revenues are a little down, but some of that could be our result of some of the grants. So MSAP, the first grant we had, didn't have as much spending. And we were a little more careful with the spending this time, in the fall because of there were government shutdowns and things. So we had some time to be able to extend some of the work that we were doing in MSAP grants and other grants that we had there. And then capital is 72% complete at the end of the second quarter of all of the projects we're working on. 2019 referendum in particular was 99.6% paid and encumbered. We had a clock meeting last night that was very good and reported out on this. So they have basically completed all of the projects. They just have a lot of paperwork left to do. And then if there's any remaining funds, we'll discuss the use of those. And then eventually there may be some interest income that are left over from from the 2019 project, and we can assess what that is and see what method of spending that should be. And it could be, and one of the questions that came up was, what do you do with any extra money like premium or interest or that sort of thing? And that is, you spend it according to the ballot question, or those proceeds can be used for 8% type projects. So they would just need to be approved by the board because they'd be above and beyond what was approved as the total in the referendum. And of course, we would come back to the board with any additional projects that were above and beyond. 2023 referendum projects are 58% paid and encumbered. So those are heavy underway, with May River Elementary going up, the walls going up and the foundations, and then Hilton and High getting, a little closer to, we'll have probably another year until completion. But those are the bulk of those payments made so far. And again, so what we've done is provided the detail of every little line item of all of those capital projects. They're about 40 pages of information. We've placed it on our website in the same section as the quarterly reports. So those can be referenced there. And if you're looking for individual line item projects, they're all there for the community and for board members and other staff members to see. I wanted to touch on student activities. We had a discussion at our last meeting about student activities and a growing balance in those funds. In response to the growing balances, the superintendent and I met with every principal on November 18th. We drove to Hilton Head where they had some data sharing meetings in both the high school, middle school, and then the elementary school at 2 separate schools. So we went to one, then went to the other. The principals were instructed to submit a student activity spend down plan, which we developed on an electronic form. And it was due by January 15th. And they were directed to ensure that available funds were used to benefit students, staff, and in accordance with district financial policies and procedures. And the goal of those plans was to appropriately reduce account balances by year end, June 30. All plans have been received and reviewed, and the schools have already begun making purchases that are aligned with their spend down strategies. As a result, the reductions will not be reflected in the report today because they weren't due until, because this report is of December 31st. But we're going to continue to monitor those. And I am actually, and monitor the fund balances, but they're continue to be in the back of these, this document. I have individually reviewed those reports. I'm happy with most of them, and there were a few that had line items that I didn't necessarily, may not have agreed with district policy about the method of spending or the line item that they had proposed to spend on. So I'm going to be going back to each of those principals to work with them to modify the report. So they are fully aware that this is not something to grow. It's something to use for the benefit of students and staff. And the message has been delivered and is crystal clear.
Can you give me some examples of the types of purchases?
Mm-hmm. So one of the areas that in particular was in one particular school was the allocation of classroom supplies to teachers. So allocating money to teachers for classroom supplies. We often get comments that teachers spend their own money to prepare their classrooms for students. And so that was one area. They're using parking permit fees at one high school. They were going to do a beautification project in the parking lots and in the surrounding areas to improve the looks of the entrances of the schools. There may have been some athletic, screens with the logos on them in the outfield of a baseball field. So so athletics, wind screens, that's what they're called. There could have been a replacement of a cart that drags the field or transports athletic trainers across from the school to the athletic training room, or the field from the athletic training room. So I'm sure I could think of a lot of others, but just can't do it on the spot right this moment. I could provide a summary for you. How about the next time?
Yeah, just I think next time, just give us a list.
Sure.
Hilton Head has so much money,
Mm-hmm.
high school,
Yes.
that, I'm surprised that they're not building a electronic scoreboard like Wilbranch.
One of the schools did mention a scoreboard, one of the high schools. Just keep in mind that Hilton Head, they're still in construction all over the campus.
Yeah.
So I think that they really want to be able to set, although they did provide and have already begun to spend down several areas. They also mentioned the idea that can we get in the school and figure out what we need once this construction is complete. So we may need a bench here, we may need something there. So, I discussed with Mr. Shedrick yesterday, and he said, "Oh, did you see all my spending?" So there are some spending items that are coming through, and he is doing that, but he is hoping to reserve some of that to be able to assess his needs once the school is finished and open for students.
That makes sense.
Was there any reasons given why we're not spending down the student funds? I mean, to me, that seems like, a no-brainer. I mean, that's one of those things where like, if I need classroom supplies, I'm asking for more money. That's like, I, I, I was a supply chief for a while, for one of my units, and when I was at Miramar, every time an aircraft didn't take off, there was $30,000 that the CP had to spend. So they'd always come to the band and they're like, hey, you guys always have discretionary things you need to buy. And as a supply chief, every time the officer came to me and said, hey, a jet didn't take off yesterday, what can we buy? I always had a list. I was never going to say nothing ever. So in that type of fund, those type of funds, it seems counterproductive to me to not spend. I mean, I understand maybe to an extent, like, can we roll it over or save it for, when the school opens and all that kind of stuff. But like, as a general rule of thumb, why aren't they like spending all of it and asking for more? That's
Here's, when you look at, has $609,000 in that fund.
yeah,
Bluffton has 548,000. May River has, and as new school, relatively new school, already has 398,000. Buford High, 317,000. And then you look at Whale Branch, they got 138,000. And then Battery Creek has got 92,000. So, I mean, it's just, what, it doesn't make sense.
that's
That our high schools have that kind of a spread. And,
Well, I think what was interesting, a lot of times we find that when requests are made for things, we don't necessarily, they haven't actually looked at what they have in their budgets. So what do you have what resources do you already have available? So you're not asking for more on top of that. And what came out of this was a conversation with senior staff to let them know, here are the balances at every school. Are they asking for a piece of playground equipment and you're paying for it out of 8% funds? Well, if that's above and beyond something, then they should fund that through their own resources. So all of the senior staff know now what these balances are, and I'll be bringing them on a regular basis so that they are able to see what's available. Or do you have money for this field trip, for this club? Well, you have funding to do that. So we don't need to continuously support from the district level. You can use these funds first, and if you run out, then ask for something else. So
I know that
it's a culture, I believe, a kind of
Yeah.
way of doing things that we're changing.
I know, like, for especially for the contraband, you've heard Mr. Miller mention our contraband performance assessment, the CPAs. Oftentimes the district assets are not available for them to take a school bus to the CPA, so they have to rent a charter bus. And like, they're always asking, where can we get money? How do we get the money? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm.
exactly.
So like, who's the gatekeeper that is not? I mean, is it not being asked? I know at some level there are people asking for it, but then at some level there's a gatekeeper saying, hold on a second. And have we had conversation with those? Is that the principals? I mean, ultimately, it's their responsibility.
The principal's responsibility. And keep in mind that these two are cyclical, because you have prom, you're collecting money for prom and graduation and, graduation trips and, national conventions or state competitions or those sorts of things, playoffs. So you still have, things that these will spend down, naturally throughout the year. So they're collecting that. And, we have several gatekeepers. The principal is the gatekeeper, the bookkeeper at the school. We have a staff member dedicated to student activities. And then us, as we look at that at the leadership level. So I think the culture is changing so that we can help them to understand that you've got to use these first. And not every school was asked to do a spend down plan. You can see why in those cases based on the balances you see here. It's those with significant balances due to the size of, and based on the size of their enrollment as well. So most of the ones on the bottom half of this list were provided, required to do that.
Right.
That concludes the financial report. Unless you have any
Yeah.
questions?
Got a couple questions. Page 8.
I do have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Was that the list that we asked about the last time about huge balances?
Could you say that again, please, sir?
Was that the list that we asked about with the school with the high schools with the balances?
Yes.
You said it was that was that list?
There was no list, requested to bring forward, but we had a series of conversations and we have reports coming from the schools, and I can summarize those at our next meeting in a list to provide to show you what kinds of things the schools are planning to spend.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Uh, Page 8, preschool special education programs at 74% spent. That's way out of tolerance. Do you have any reason why that is that way?
These programs often move back and forth between special education funding sources.
Mhm.
So it looks as if they may need some shifting over. Those usually are corrected as we get closer to the end of the year, but I can work with Denise Matson, our special revenue accountant. I'm certain that compared to last year, we are up almost double. I believe that we probably moved additional students or salaries into this. And we need to look at that relationship between special revenue. We use special revenue funds to support many programs, most particularly in programs like special education.
Mhm.
So we probably just need to take a look at that and align that one with our special ed strategies there.
Okay. And I think that was the only question I had. Ms. Hay, do you have any questions?
She says she's typed in, she doesn't have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Smith, do you have any other questions?
No, at this time, that is one I don't.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you for your patience.
all the brand new guy questions. When you talk about tolerances for the percentage of spend downs for all these programs, what is where are we looking at? Yeah, it looks like most of them are hovering around 35 to 45%.
So one thing to keep in mind, and it depends on the program. If it's an instructional program, it's generally teachers or teacher assistants that are paid in those programs like kindergarten, elementary, high school. Their first paycheck is the second payday in August. Is that right, Lori? Second payday in August. So typically you would have 3 more paydays in a year if you were on a July 1 basis, but those paydays are accrued back to the prior year. So our first paycheck that is coded to this school year is the end of August. So that's going to be a smaller percentage of spending at December because we'll have 3 fewer paydays than normally. So instead of 26 paydays, we might have 23. So the percentage of spending is going to be less in an instructional program than say in the finance department because we work year round and our paydays start the first payday in July. So when I'm looking at salaries, I'm looking at that percentage. So in the early 40s, low 40 percentile looks pretty normal to me in those. But when you get into, say, after all of these, which most are pretty consistent there, when you get into the support programs like
Special ed, okay.
special ed.
That's 74. That's at 74%.
So that's why it popped up to me.
Yeah.
I went through this.
Yeah.
And I look for the outliers, what's going on with that particular program.
Yeah, I'm certain that that's mostly due to shifts from special revenue and we need to look at aligning that, make sure the budgets are aligned.
We've also had some issues with special education and parents and so on and there's been a problem with provider that's caused us to drop a provider and look for another provider in special education.
Yeah, I remember the Carolina cog, yeah, right.
And so when you put those together and you see 74%, oops, it's just kind of a,
Okay, so like that's out of the upper margin. What about the lower, the underspending? I mean, gifted and talented is 0.1%.
Yeah. So gifted and talented and that is summer, that's summer program.
Gotcha.
Um,
Oh, okay, so we're not into something.
gifted and talented artistic program is typically, as far as the general fund spending, it's a program and it is a summer program. So we don't typically have them till the end of the year.
IB the same thing?
yeah, I'd be saying, okay,
IB is a one-time of year payment for an IB fee. And so that's made, there's a little bit there paid, but primary payments are paid once a year. There are no salaries in that because IB teachers are also other grade level teachers, but these are the fees associated directly with the program.
Excuse me, there's some type of feedback coming in. Are we aware of that?
yeah, I heard some feedback and looking at it,
It's not on.
what's the finance committee? Who's on the finance committee it's not muted? Looking at participants, finance committee. Somebody, whoever's there in the finance committee that's showing up. If you look at it on my screen, that's where we get some background information or noise. You see it right here? Finance committee, you see they're muted, see there, it's. I don't know if I can turn it off. I don't think I can.
Send a message, tell them mute. So you send them a chat message, tell them mute.
But that's the only unmuted microphone I see. Okay. Now we'll have to wish through it. Okay, what's next?
OE 18 monitoring report for food service. I'm going to start by going over the OE requirements and responses, and then I'll turn it over to our food service team. Okay, so again, this is OE 18. It is required in the month of February. And so at the end of the report, we do ask for a motion to accept a monitoring report for school food service. So executive summary, the first page requires, so provides some general information about food service contract with Nutrition Group. We started in July 1, 2022. We are approximately halfway through the 4th year with the vendor, with the team. So I consider them part of the family and not outside or inside. We are all part of the same group. We expanded back in the 24-25 school year. I'm not on Zoom at all.
It's this room, but if I. Can you hear us now?
Yes, you're back.
Okay.
Okay. So In the 24-25 school year, we expanded from 21 CEP schools or community eligibility schools. That was, community eligibility is one free breakfast, one free lunch each day. In July of 24, we went to 100% school CEP school at the federal program. So partially parent and student paid and partially USDA paid is almost entirely federal funded USDA. So it's a shift in the revenue sources. Benefits of this program include increasing student participation, so more meals are served. We eliminate social stigmas and eliminate a lot of paperwork with not having to do meal applications and have meal charges, and also eliminates the extensive negative meal debt that we generate through the year. And we are not alone. Many, most
Now they
districts
can't
across
hear.
the country experience the same thing. at least part.